Dual Cultivation, WN, Chapter 69. A Goddess Descends. End of Volume 1. Junior brother Su, you're finally back. When the disciples downstairs noticed him walking down, they all rushed to him with anxious expressions on their faces. How is Master's condition? They all asked him. Everything has been resolved. She will be fine after some more rest, he said. What happened up there? Why did it take so long? Someone asked. Besides talking, nothing else really happened. I guess we were just so into the topic that we forgot about the passing time. Is that so? Although the disciples were still doubtful of what happened upstairs, as long as their master was fine, they didn't really care about the rest of the details. After they thanked Su Yang a few more times, they finally allowed him to leave. Once he left, Su Yang began making his way to his living quarters. Upon arriving at his home, Su Yang jumped onto the roof and silently sat there with his gaze at the crescent moon that was shining more beautiful and brighter than any of the previous nights he's watched it. What a beautiful moon. Seeing the elegant moon that was hanging in the starry sky like a piece of art, Su Yang reminiscences of his previous life with the moon goddess, where the moon would always shine beautifully just from being gazed at by her. It feels almost as though you were here beside me, yet here I am, alone. Su Yang sighed. Whenever he would have the time, or feel nostalgic, there would always be someone on his mind, as that was his only way to cope with the loneliness that was deep in his heart. Time slowly passed as Su Yang continued to gaze at the refined moon, seemingly lost in his thoughts. However, his dreaming was suddenly interrupted when a gentle and seemingly normal wind blew through the area. Sensing the wind, Su Yang pushed his thoughts behind his mind and stood up. He then started to look around the place, looking as though he was searching for something. However, a few moments later, when he cannot see anything out of the ordinary, he began speaking loudly to the air. Although I cannot see you, nor am I able to feel your presence, I can sense your profound gaze staring directly at me. Completely silence. I know you can hear me. Again, no reply. Who are you and what do you want from me? Su Yang tried again. Still no answer. If there were other people to witness his actions right now, they would surely be convinced that he was crazy. By now, Su Yang was feeling wary, even troubled. Although it was only for a split second, he was certain that he'd felt someone looking at him. Who could this person be that even he cannot sense? Forget about Earth Spirit Realm cultivators, even those at the Heavenly Spirit Realm would not be able to escape his extraordinary senses that were further improved by the all-seeing celestial eyes technique. His all-seeing celestial eyes not only allowed him to distinguish beasts with monster cores from those that don't, but they also increase his senses by many folds, allowing him to see and sense things that are normally impossible for someone at his level of cultivation. Somewhere behind the night clouds, a silver-haired figure stared at Su Yang with eyes, feeling astonished by his profound senses. To think someone at the profound spirit realm was able to sense her concealing techniques just because she looked at him. Just who is this young mortal, and what kind of secrets does he have hidden? Not only was he able to pluck the extreme yin flower, but he also has this ridiculous awareness. Just as the silver-haired figure prepared to reveal herself due to her curiosity, Su Yang's voice suddenly resounded again. You are clearly adapted to concealing yourself, but I doubt even someone at the sovereign spirit realm would be able to hide as well as you. The divine spirit realm, perhaps? Su Yang's words dumbfounded the silver-haired figure, but what shocked her was not his speculation that she was at the divine spirit realm. It was his knowledge of the divine spirit realm that had greatly surprised her. The knowledge of the cultivation bases, and cultivation in general, in this world was greatly lacking. It was so much so that even those at the sovereign spirit realm have little to no knowledge of the divine spirit realm that was right above their current stage. Yet why did such knowledge come out from the mouth of a young mortal who wasn't even at the true spirit realm? Not to mention the clear voice he spoke in that clearly showed his familiarity with the divine spirit realm. The silver-haired figure's interest in Su Yang instantly soared. She wanted to know how this mortal knew of the divine spirit realm and where or who he'd learned it from. So, when are you going to reveal yourself? Surely you did not come all the way here just to look at my handsome face, right? Despite the utter lack of response, Su Yang did not give up on trying to convince whoever was watching him in the shadows to come out and continued to speak to the air, his gaze constantly trying to find this individual. A few more moments later, Su Yang obtained his goal when a heavenly voice suddenly resounded in his ears. First the extreme yin flower, now this. You really are an interesting individual, said the heavenly voice. A female? Su Yang felt a sense of familiarity with the heavenly voice even though he was positive that he has never heard of such a voice before. Suddenly, the surrounding moonlight began brightening like magic, and a slim figure appeared from behind the clouds that were right above Su Yang. This figure was extremely beautiful, so extremely beautiful that calling her a goddess would not be an exaggeration but an understatement. She had long silver hair and silver eyes that seemingly blended in with the moonlight that shone in the background. Her white robes fluttered in an unnatural way, making her look like a goddess descending from the heavens, and surrounding her was an otherworldly aura that could not be described with words. When Su Yang first saw the peerless face of this figure, his eyes immediately widened with shock, and his heart throbbed like war drums at war. Why, you Hai? The image of the moon goddess suddenly appeared in his head, as she also had silver hair and silver eyes just like this flying individual. However, after taking another look, Su Yang quickly threw away that thought, as they were only similar looking. No, that's not you Hai. but I feel like I have met her before. Suddenly, looking as though he was enlightened, the figure of another individual appeared in his head, but unlike the mature moon goddess, this figure was much smaller. Impossible. Su Yang didn't want to believe it at first, but as doubtful as he was with his own speculations, the more he looked at this silver-haired girl's face, the more resemblance he found her with the individual in his head. Chou-Ui, he mumbled in a dumbfounded voice, which was very clearly heard by the silver-haired figure. What did you just say? The silver-haired beauty instantly halted all of her movements the moment she heard Su Yang's mumbling, her face full of shock and bewilderment. However, almost an instant later, she frowned and released her entire cultivation base and directed it at Su Yang, who was unable to protect himself from the tyrannical pressure, causing him to cough up a mouthful of blood. Who are you? She exclaimed loudly, her gaze filled with cautiousness. Are you someone from the four divine heavens? Did the sacred moon palace send you here to come after me? Answer me right this instant, before I start tearing your limbs and force you to talk. The silver-haired beauty had expected Su Yang to begin begging for his life and reveal his identity after her threats, but shockingly, Su Yang did not do any of that and instead stood there with a profound smile on his face that was still dripping with blood. When the silver-haired beauty noticed his gaze that was staring at her with affection and joy, a weird feeling arose inside her heart, causing her to unconsciously weaken the pressure on him. Answer me, who are you and how do you know my name? She repeated, her voice filled with uncertainty. Hearing her question again, Su Yang straightened his back and clasped his hands behind it. Who do you think I am, little Chou-Ui? Although my appearances may have gotten younger, I shouldn't look that different from the me in your memories. Perhaps a few slaps on your buttocks will help you recall, he said to her in a tone that was different than any tone he has spoken so far. The silver-haired beauty named Chou-Ui suddenly trembled violently. She stared at him with a wavering gaze, and her lips slowly moved. That tone, impossible. You were supposed to be dead, she loudly exclaimed, sounding like a terrified cat, and her face paled, looking as though she was looking at a ghost.